Hey girls, welcome back to my channel. So today it's going to be another Anastasia Beverly Hills review on the new Prism palette. A lot of you girls have been requesting a video on this palette and also how it works. Is it similar to the Subculture palette? Is it similar to the Modern Renaissance? So today I'm here to answer everyone's questions. So this is the new palette, the Prism palette by Anastasia Beverly Hills. It has a variety of shades as well. We have some brighter shades, which we have some of the yellow here. We have some metallic shades and also some dark, warmer shades as well. This palette is pretty much something that I can work with if I'm going to use something a little bit on the brighter side, or if I'm going smoky, or if I'm going something a little bit natural. This palette has pretty much everything rather than the Subculture palette. I know a lot of you girls were asking me as well if, this palette performs like the Subculture palette, and you guys will definitely witness on today's video how the colors blend, my reactions to this. Let me just say this, obviously this will be my first impression, and just by using some of these shades here, I kind of used some of the darker shades like the black, the brown. They performed really well. I was definitely scared to try this palette. I'm not saying that, I was definitely scared it was going to be something similar to like the Subculture palette. I have a review of the Subculture palette. I will post the link down below, but some of the shades were harder to blend. But these shades here, they weren't an issue for me. A lot of people were questioning as well if this palette, the Prism, was similar to the Subculture palette. Now I do have both in hand, and this is the Subculture palette, as you can see here, and then we have the Prism palette. So you can definitely tell a lot of people were seeing some similarities. In all honesty, these palettes are definitely not the same. If you're more into like a smoky eye person, darker shades, then the Subculture palette is definitely for you. And if you're more into in between, like if you're more on the brighter shades, you want to go a little bit natural but have that smoky, type of looks as well, the Prism palette has it all. When it comes to the Modern Renaissance palettes, this one is probably by far one of my favorite palettes in the Anastasia Beverly Hills collection. So this is it right here, and it's definitely more on the natural sides. If you want to go smoky, then you do have like those burnt oranges, reddish tone shades, but it doesn't come with the black. It doesn't come with brighter shades, just like the Prism palettes. I'm definitely more like in the in-between. Like I do love pretty much everything. Brighter shades, smoky eye colors, natural shades. I am definitely really impressed with the combination colors that they came out with in this palette. Again, I have not tried any of the rest of the shades. I did went on with the darker shades because I feel like when you start off with the darker shades, if those are easier to work with, then the rest of the shades would be good, girl. As of right now, I am loving the palette. I am loving the palette. These shades that I have on my eyes are so easy to work with. They blended very well. The feel of the eyeshadows are definitely different than the Subculture palette. They're very creamy. They have like this buttery feel. They're very soft and again easy to blend. For my lips today, I used the Anastasia Beverly Hills matte lipsticks in soft pink, and then I topped it off with the Anastasia Beverly Hills Undressed Lip Gloss. I've been loving these matte lipsticks. They're definitely mattifying. My lips are very crusty, girl, but I like to moisturize them. We'll kind of hydrate them before I add the lipstick, but I am the type of girl that I still end up putting a lip gloss on top. But again, if you love that matte feeling, the matte Anastasia lippies are really good. So if you girls want to know how I got this look, then just keep on watching. Alright guys, before anything that I start with the eyeshadows, I do like to comb up my hairs first. I like to do my eyebrows last for some reason, so I've been liking that natural eyebrow. So I'm just going to go ahead and just brush it with this Fully to kind of just keep them in place. I'm going to be taking my MAC Studio Finish Concealer in NC20. This is one of my favorite concealers to kind of just sculpt my brow a little bit. Then I'm just going to go ahead and bring that concealer down and use it as a base for our eyeshadow. And again, I use a good amount. It's definitely up to you, but I like to use a good amount on the base just because I like to use brighter shades. I don't even know what eyeshadow look I am going to do today because this palette has a lot of shades to work with, so I haven't played with this palette yet. I did some swatches on the eyeshadows already, and I already kind of have like an idea how this palette would work already, so hopefully it comes through like that, but if not, then we're fucked. The Painterly Paint Pot by MAC, it's a little bit more creamier rather than the Studio Finish. I feel like you can definitely see that this concealer sometimes, like, it has its own mood, all right? So sometimes it works perfectly and sometimes it comes out really patchy. So I'm just gonna go ahead and with my what is this called? Painterly Pro Longwear base. I'm just gonna go ahead and just go over the areas that are a little bit more patchy. So to kind of just set the base on the eyes, I am going to use a beige eyeshadow on the palette. I am very happy that they included a beige eyeshadow, just because on the Subculture they didn't have like a beige eyeshadow to kind of just use that as a base to set the cream base that we applied. So I'm going to be using this one. This one's called Unity. So I'm going to take something like this and place this all over the eyes. Mainly in the crease. Oh, okay. Oh, wait. Oh. Okay, so it's definitely a true color beige. So I like to go lighter, nothing like this. So I'm gonna go back with another shade and then I'll be right back. Yeah, so you see it's a little bit tinted. I don't want it to be tinted to set the whole eyeshadow base, just because we're gonna apply some eyeshadow and I don't want that yellow base eyeshadow to kind of interfere with the other shadows that we're going to apply. So okay, well, I guess we won't use that as a base. Going to be using some Makeup Geek brushes. These are Makeup Geek. This is in the blending brush soft dome brush. So again, this is my first time as well. Okay, so I am going to be taking the shade Eden, which is this shade right here. And I'm just gonna go ahead and dab, and I'm seeing in that it's carrying a lot of product, just like the Subculture. But I don't see any tremendous fallout, so that's pretty good. But again, since it has so much product on the brush, you wanna make sure you dab it off. Oh shit, and that's pretty much it. So I'm gonna go ahead and put this into the crease area. Makeup Geek brushes are very soft. I like this one. Ooh, yeah. So far, it's not patchy whatsoever. It's blending very nicely. It's showing off as its true color. It's not changing its color once I place it to the eye. It's blending really well. This is just a different blending brush and it's clean, so I'm just gonna go ahead and diffuse the harsh lines. Nice. Okay, perfect. So far, so good with this palette.
Blending really nice.
Awesome. So no issues with the blending process of this shade. So we're going good, girl. We're going good. Okay, so we have that transition shade on. I am gonna go play with more of the darker shades, because I know when you play with more of the darker shades, I feel like they're more harder to control, more harder to blend, etc. So that's why I like to start off with the darker shades and try out. Okay, the next color that I will be going in is called Parallel, which is this one right here. It's like a dark brown. Now I'm going to be using another Makeup Geek brush. This is the pointed crease brush. It's a little bit more thinner, more precise for the eyeshadow. So again, I'm just gonna go ahead and dab the brush. 1, 2, 3. And I still have a great amount of product. And absolutely no fallout. So when you go ahead and dab and not swirl, you won't get that excess fallout. So I'm gonna go ahead and just place this in the crease. I don't wanna go too high up where we place that orangey shade. And I'm just gonna go ahead and blend this in slowly. I'm gonna add on the color slowly because I'm not sure how intense it is. Okay, it's going good. Okay, so that's just going really lightly. I'm gonna go a little ham and just adding more product in. So right now I'm just placing the color in. I don't wanna, you know, add too much product, and I don't wanna go ahead and blend it like crazy. I just wanna place it in first. Okay, cool. Again, true to color. It's not changing its color. I'm going to take more of a fluffier brush. This is my MAC 224. Let's see if it blends. Okay, it's blending. These shades, you know, the feel of them, it's not as hard to work with like the Subculture palette. So it's going good. I'm glad I'm playing with the darker shades, because I know in the Subculture palette, the darker shades were a little bit harder to work with. You know, they would oxidize and they would kind of just, you know, seem a little patchy. These are coming off really, really well. Again, I just placed the color, so I'm still blending my way in. I'm gonna grab a little bit more with that same fluffy brush. Little by little, I'm adding the shade, and it's not getting darker. Because I know one of the shades from the Subculture palette, I'm going to refer a lot towards the Subculture palette only because, you know, I'm trying to do a comparison between the two. Because a lot of people have been saying that these two look so similar. So that's why I'm referring a lot to the Subculture. But again, like the one shadow from the Subculture palette, when you place that darker shade in, it immediately turned into like a dark black type of eyeshadow, and it's mainly like in the brown shades. So that's what I was kind of concerned with this one. But this one's, it's true to color. It's not changing in any type of color. Gonna go ahead and leave it right there. I'm gonna go back with that same first shade that we used, which is Eden. I'm gonna grab some of that, and I'm gonna go ahead and place it where we see that harsh line. I'm just gonna go ahead and buff it in. Okay, so don't worry about the brow bone color just yet. I'm just going to leave it empty for now. If you go too high up with the shades, let's just say you can go ahead and just add on the lighter shade to kind of bring those colors down. But so far so good. I'm really impressed. I'm going to go back with the eyeshadows because I know it's kind of unblended here as well. But don't worry, girl. So the shadows that I'm really excited to try out are these shadows right here. So I have these shades right here. So the color that I really, really want to try out is the color Throne, which is this shade right here. It's more on the green side. I'm gonna go ahead and try it on with no base and with no type of, you know, wetness on the brush. So I'm just gonna leave it dry. So I'm gonna go ahead and just dab this on. So just grab some on the brush. Go ahead and put this all over my lid. I'm getting a bit of fallout under the eyes. It's okay. You know what? Fallout doesn't really bother me. This is why I start off with my eyes first and then my face. You just wipe that shit off and you're good, girl. So this is still dry. I didn't apply any spray. I didn't wet my brush just yet. I'm just applying it, patting motion, and it's going good. But now I'm just gonna use my finger to kind of just get that more pigment on the eyes. So this is how much I got. I really stuck my finger in there, and I'm just gonna go ahead and dab. Very creamy. They're very soft. It's not hard to work with whatsoever. These are really, really nice. And I'm just gonna give an example. You know, some shades like these, I know there's some from the Huda Beauty palette. When you apply too much, they end up cracking and takes off some product on the eyes. I honestly don't like the Huda Beauty palette. But these pigments right here, these eyeshadows are so creamy, and I'm going to keep layering to see if anything happens. But this is my third layering and it's still good, very soft. It's adding more vibrance to the eyeshadow. So I'm gonna go ahead and just wet my brush just to see. I'm going to be using my Smashbox water primer. This is really pretty. Yes, girl. But I am getting a lot of fallout, as you can see. I mean, again, it's fine. But I am loving this shade. If I were to have a preferred way to apply this eyeshadow, I would go with my finger. I feel like with the finger, it really brings out the eyeshadow. When you wet it, I just feel like it kind of takes away the product. And when you use a brush, it's not as vibrant as how you would use your finger. So use your finger on this one. But again, everyone has their own way of doing it. And so I'm gonna go back with Parallel, which is the darker brown, and I'm just gonna go ahead and place this into the crease again and kind of just buff those two shades together and just kind of blend. I'm going to take my wipe and just kind of clean everything that was left under my eyes. Next color that I'll be using in the inner corner is the color Sphere, which is this yellow shade right here. And I'm just gonna go ahead and dab it in there. Ooh, very bright. Nice. Oh! Very pigmented. It's not as patchy. It's very, very bright. True to color as well.